Hello? Okay, so it looks like we are just about ready for Spyro 2. Take it away, Parso.
Do we have the donation incentive?
So I have good news. We've just been sniped. $150 to purple Spyro. Still doesn't put it in front. I'm so sorry, Abby Kelso. However, green Spyro has taken the lead with a cumulative $110 combined. I'll read out those donations over the course of the run, but it's green. Let's go.
Awesome.
Not bad.
Nice job, guys. All right, I'm parsoFish. I've got Dactyly on the couch here with me. This is Spyro 2, and we are good to go in 3, 2, 1, go.
Cool. Yeah, so if you were here yesterday, like about the same time, you might have seen Clock District's run of the Reignited Trilogy version of Spyro 3. This is the original game on the PS1. It's very different. There's a lot more kind of broken stuff. You color cheat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What am I doing? Green.
Just doing a quick cheat code for the color.
No, fuck that up. Oop, that's the sweater. All right, sick. I'm doing well so far.
There we go.
All right,
Cool.
where was I?
The beautiful color cheats. They are not the best with PS1 textures, but they'll
All right,
do.
so first thing we've got there is double jump. That's a mechanic in this game where if you jump and then hold square, Spyro will essentially charge out of that and gain a whole bunch of extra height. That's going to be used all over the place, so as we saw there, we then went out of bounds and go straight to the end of the level. This is the first level Glimmer, and you'll notice that I'm collecting gems. There's a gem route for this game because there are a few things that we need to buy. The first of those is going to be Swim, and so the first few levels we're really just trying to route around the gems that we can collect to exit Colossus with exactly the number of gems that we need to buy Swim.
Yeah, in total we're going to need 1,300 across the run, but like there's checkpoints, like we need 500 after the first 3 levels, and so this is kind of the tightest part of the gem route. To explain the category, actually going for, I'll maybe wait until you've gone for Beetle. At the very start of this level, he's going to go for a trick. May or may not get it, it's quite hard, but if he does, it'll let him basically skip the whole level.
Yeah, and basically we still cover most of the same ground, but because of the gem route, it essentially just makes it much more efficient if we can get this. We don't have to wait for doors.
Not quite. Yeah, so
there's a second attempt I can get at that here.
Yeah, he's trying to do what's called a proxy jump, or just a proxy off one of these beetles. He got a tiny little one there. It wasn't big enough to actually skip anything, but if you get a good one, you can kind of get up to the roofs there. Essentially, just the way hitboxes work, there's certain like objects and enemies and things that you are allowed to be inside when you're charging, but not when you're not charging. And so if you kill the beetle or various other things, and then like charge jump into it and press X in the middle of your charge jump, you stop charging for 1 frame, get ejected out of the hitbox, and then that gets carried into your charge when it comes back, and you go way up in the air. There'll be a couple more of those he'll go for.
So, skipping, waiting for that door to be opened, just coming straight to the end of the level here. And then, as mentioned before, we're just going to backtrack through some of the higher parts of the level that we would have gotten up to if we were able to get Beetle, to collect a lot of the high-value gems that are along this route.
Yeah. And to explain a little bit about what this category is, you might say it's called 14 Talisman. Like, what does that mean? This game is very, very broken. If you just want to beat it like as quickly as possible, get to the end, you really don't need to play any of the levels. You can just skip into the bosses and do almost nothing. This is kind of a legacy category. It doesn't allow the biggest of those, or I guess the most recent of those skips, which was still like almost 10 years ago now. Mm-hmm. But basically means you're going to need to go into and reach the end of all the levels in the first 2 homeworlds.
Gem routing is definitely not as efficient as it could be, but there's only a certain amount of time I have into learning things with these games these days. So the first homeworld is where, at least for the route that I'm doing, most of the tricks in the run are going to be. Once we get past Summer Forest, I'm meant to collect the gems behind it. So.
Yeah. You can get the vases. I don't know if you normally get those.
That's It's annoying. So we're going for a skip here. We want to jump up there, and then that's not actually scenery, and so we can just jump straight through. Again, one of the ones that just saves us having to wait for a long animation and talking to a guy.
Yeah.
We're then going to, again, double jumps up here, come over to here, double jump all the way to the end of the level, and skip basically everything.
Yeah, the double jump, it's a very easy thing to do. Like, if you have the game, you can just try it, and just don't be moving. Just, like, let go of the D-pad or the analog and just hit X, then hit square, and you'll charge upwards. It was found basically immediately when the game came out. In fact, one of the demos, the in-game demos actually does a, like, really bad, unoptimized double jump, so... yeah. Also, just a general thing is that typically if the devs didn't expect you to reach a particular area or like a particular bit of scenery, it's usually not going to be solid. Or there's going to be like large parts of it that are not solid. And so because with double jump we can reach a lot of unintended stuff, it's usually pretty easy to get out of bounds in levels in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in short, just an optimization where they don't want to have to have the game sort of figure out collision for a whole bunch of stuff that you shouldn't ever be able to get to. But because we can, there's a lot of situations where we can just go through things that look like they're there.
Yeah. So he just paid 500 gems there to moneybags to buy the swim power-up, so that's how he was able to swim there. The way progression kind of works in this game is you in each of the home worlds, moneybags will teach you an ability if you pay for it, and that ability is required to reach the second half of that world. Required in air quotes because we can skip them all, but in theory they're required. So here we're actually double jump to get up to an area. This is an orb challenge that if you speak to that guy, gives you an orb, which is like the end of a fairly long orb challenge. But instead, you can just go through this roof and drop straight into the room with the talisman guy. So very, very short level. And then the gem requirement that we're building up to now is to buy a couple, well, there's 2 levels that we're going to buy. I'm not sure which Autumn Plains route you're doing. Zephyr?
Old one.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So he's going to use these 400 gems to buy Zephyr about halfway through the next home world. Yeah, there's actually quite a lot of like route choices you can make in this category. It's a really kind of approachable category for beginners because you can make it mostly pretty easy. There's a couple of required things, but most of the hard stuff you can route around and do other stuff instead. But then if you want to like really optimize it, go for like record level times. Like every level has something that's basically impossible at this point. It's like it's so hard. So it's one of the reasons this category is stuck around, despite being kind of arbitrary in its goal, is that it is such a it's accessible but also has a high skill cap as well. So it's just fun. So this door, you're supposed to like lead some baby turtles through this whole level. It's like an escort mission, and also and then the big turtles will stand on those buttons to open stuff. But yeah, you can just go through the door.
Yeah. If you walk off of the pad, for whatever reason, it just gives you enough time to then start charging and get through the door before it closes.
Yeah, and the camera doesn't quite have a chance to catch up, so it gets stuck behind the door. Next level has another proxy. This one is
the only one in the run that I have to get.
Yeah, for the route he's going for, this one's mandatory, but it's also pretty easy, like comparatively to the other ones. Again, you're supposed to pay 400 gems to get in here as well, but you can just jump over the wall. If you do this level not last, you actually get stuck here because you will come out of Aquaria and the wall will still be up, so you can't get out without like doing a cheat code or cheat squeeze or a credits cheat. So he's going to try and proxy off these sheep to get up to the little gap in the wall there. not quite enough. You got to be careful not to speak to the NPC at the top there as well. It's the guy who gives you the talisman, but he'll only give you the talisman if you've like raised the water in the level. If you speak to him without doing that, he doesn't give it to you, and then you have to re-enter the level.
And so what I'm doing here is essentially respawning the sheep. You just need to get a certain distance away. You need to be careful when doing that because, again, you'll soft lock, or it's a soft lock if you fall down into that place that I'm gliding over. All right, second try, not too bad.
Yeah, not bad. That's the proxy he's talking about. I kind of explained how they work earlier, but basically you just flame charge jump into it and hit X at the right time, and you get propelled up into the air. Thankfully, you don't need a very big one there either. So
you can the sheep that I tried it on at the very bottom of the level. If you get a really large one, then you can actually do it, and it saves a little bit of time over getting it off the second sheep.
Yeah.
Which is nice as well because it's essentially free to try for that proxy as you're heading up to the second sheep anyway.
Yeah, and even if you get a smaller one, you just get up to the normal sheep quicker.
So this is what Dak's talking about. Now that that's the last level, we'll get teleported straight to Allura, who will let us into Crush's dungeon. And this is the first boss fight of the game.
Yeah, this boss is... I don't know if you go for the damage boost. No, okay. So this will be pretty simple. Like, the Crush behaves in a very predictable way. And so the goal is to just, like, minimize the amount of walking that Crush has to do in between phases. So it'll hit him, like, while he stood on the little pad or whatever it's called, at first to make him walk to this one, which is a setup for the second phase. But from here, he's going to get hit intentionally so that Crush walks off the thing, and then he'll walk right back onto the same one. And so that just makes him faster. And then again, damage boost on the red thing, the red attack.
And so I'm doing small little optimizations here, essentially turning Crush back towards the pad so that when he actually decides to move, he doesn't need to first turn around. He'll always face you, and so you can do... That's scary.
Yeah, that rock was... those rocks do hit you, and he's got no health at the moment, so... Yeah, in this phase, Crush actually follows you, and so you can just lead him off the thing. And then in the last phase, Crush isn't even solid. Like, the rocks that fall aren't even, like, solid, so you can just sit here and not get hit.
All in all, not too bad a summer forest.
Yeah.
So this second homeworld, as I mentioned earlier, is essentially entirely, just clean movements. All I'm really looking for. There's not really any crazy tricks or proxies or anything like that. Pretty much just getting through the levels as quickly as we can.
Yeah, some tough jumps, like optimizing your double jumps and things, especially in this level, in fact. The very first one to get across this gap. So the way this level's supposed to work is you unfreeze the NPCs, and they'll let you use these like seesaws, and like they'll make ladders for you and stuff. But with some good double jumps, you can skip all of it. So skip the gap and then get up this ledge, which is kind of tricky. There's a few different ways to do it, but doing a wall glide flop. Nice, yeah.
So when you go into the flop animation, and we'll talk about this for a specific trick later, but essentially Spyro, the easiest way to explain it is like he's got his belly covered in butter, and he just sort of can slip up onto ledges that you normally wouldn't be able to get to.
Yeah, the way I think of it is you can only bonk when you're charging, and so if you're not charging, you can't bonk on the ledge, and so you just kind of slide up, like. And then, yeah, you're supposed to use this snowball to break the hut, but you can just jump on the mountains here, and the top of it is not solid, so you can just fall straight in, get a bunch of gems.
We'll turn around here and get the 25, and then I'm just going to pause. This is one of the few levels where it's actually a little bit quicker, just because of how long the pause menu takes to come up. Getting into the portal itself is actually quicker for exiting that level, but because I'd had to turn around anyway, it wouldn't be any faster to turn around and go back to the portal. I haven't been paying attention at all.
You're over-jammed, it's fine, yeah. So ideally you want like exactly 400 at this point. He's got a few more, which just means he's like lost a bit of time to getting extra gems he didn't need, but not a big deal. And it means he needs less for the... There's one more gem requirement a bit later for a different level. So another jump on some scenery here to skip the first half. That green, the hill that he was stood on there, only specific parts of that are solid, so if you don't know where to land, you'll just fall through and probably die.
Yeah, I remember initially learning this category and I had so much trouble with the second part of that jump.
Yeah, it's kind of not clear where you're supposed to stand. And then this is just the intended way to get into the talisman room.
I can't recall if there are...
There's a proxy off a balloon you can do that people do now, but it's... yeah, I don't know. I haven't really tried it.
Again, like Dax was saying earlier, pretty much every level has something ridiculous that you can go for at this point. The run, again, has been around for such a long time at this point that, yeah, people have really pushed it to the limit. All right, we've got a nice relaxing level here, so it's probably a decent time for some donations if we've got any.
True. Oh. Well, oh,
hello? All right, so, yeah, while that bid war was going on at the beginning of this run, we actually got quite a bit of love. So, $20 from Crate Smith, who says, Green Spyro, please. $20 from Dan MCD, who says, Green Spyro. $150 from Abby Kelso, who says, parsoFish, Spyro's Color Challenge, $150 purple. $50 from Aggie, Green Spyro Gang Gang, and $10 from Anonymous that says Spyro's Color Green. Thank you all for your very generous donations, and your hard work has paid off because you chose the correct color.
Yeah, everyone's got good taste.
Yep. So these are, I think, pretty much the two shortest levels in the entire game. Both, I think, but both of these, I think, end in about 40-45 seconds.
Yeah. The first skip he's going to do here, you don't even... I don't know if he's going to double jump, but you don't actually need to double jump to get on this boat. You just kind of go from the start and you can
I
just...
don't think I do, but I'm going to because I can't remember.
I'm sorry for putting the question in your head. Yeah, but you can just get up to the end immediately. There's very little to it.
Small little optimization there where I stop charging for a very short amount of time as I'm walking past the end of level guy. That allows the text box to start and then immediately start charging again so that as he starts talking, I charge past him to pick up some of the gems behind. So normally to get to any other levels, we would need to buy Climb. Climb costs 1,000 gems.
500.
500,
yeah.
Sorry. But is essentially would make it, a lot more difficult to.
Yeah, like you would need a lot more gems, and you need to go out of your way for a lot more, and might change the route a bit. But you can do a series of kind of tricky jumps here to skip the climb power up. First, getting up onto this portal. There's a few ways to do this. This is the fastest. You can also just go around the wall. This part isn't actually mandatory. But then the jump afterwards to get on the arch is the actual climb skip. Yeah, got to kind of line up yeah, there you go. Line up and then wall glide up, and then yeah, you just double jump and flop to get on the arch. Nice. Nice. Yeah. So that's all the hard stuff. Hopefully. No, I wouldn't jinx it. But yeah, the rest is all pretty easy. So that gets you up into the castle without buying Climb, and you can do the rest of the levels. There's nowhere else where you really need Climb, especially at least not in this category. There's a couple of other ladders in a 100% run, but they can all be skipped. It's not mandatory. So you can grab a lot of gems here. There's a cool thing, we got some of it, where if you are, you hit those bottles, and as the gems are popping out of them, if you're charging past them, they'll home in on you. It's actually an extension of a tech that we haven't spoken about yet. It's called flame charging, where so normally if you flame a gem container, like a basket, the gem just pops out into the air, and then Sparks will have to collect it, and it's kind of slow. But if you charge through the container, the gem will home straight in on you. But if you flame the container, and then quickly charge past it, and you're at the right kind of distance, the game will kind of think you charged through it, even though you didn't, and so the gem will home in on you. And because you can do that from further away, you can cut corners a lot more. It's very useful for just movement optimization.
Yeah. Which is important in this run because of the gem routing that we do need to do. Most extensive use that you'll ever see of it is in the 100% run, obviously because everything's being collected. But
yeah, I think I just heard a "We love you" parso from the crowd. So, yeah. So this level, he's gonna free the 6 satyrs. They play the song and explode the rocks. This, as of maybe a year ago, there's a strat where you can get in and get the talisman without actually freeing all these satyrs, but it's tough. Like, it's hard to learn because it's not very clear when you've messed it up.
And so we always knew that you were able to get into the final room, but it was thought for a long while that when talking to the end of level fawn, it just wouldn't work. You essentially wouldn't be able to get the talisman. But some very specific jumps and out of bounds and camera movement to essentially load it into a particular state or keep it loaded into...
Yeah, like if you get close enough to it while looking at it, she despawns. And so you get to her without despawning her, and then like land right in front of her, and there's one frame where you can still talk to her before she despawns. It's ridiculous that was found. But going the vanilla way here.
And one of the bigger time saves in the run, that's been found recently, because as we saw, it's quite a long level. You have to listen to the song 6 times.
Yeah.
And I think that skip, turns it into probably something that takes about half the time.
And there's RNG with the satyrs as well, because sometimes they take less time to, like, the cutscene is shorter sometimes. This is a skip for the 8 orb door. Normally you need some orbs to get through here. You get those for doing challenges, and there's some just like scattered around the place. They're like the secondary collectible, but you don't need. You can just jump through that window and skip them all.
Yeah, and even if we were in a situation where we had enough orbs, it's faster to do that jump anyway.
Yeah, unless you're going to be going through there like multiple times, then yeah, it's quicker to do the skip. And the other orb requirement that is relevant is for actually beating the game. You need 40 orbs to get into the final boss, but you'll see in a bit that will not be a problem. So some more out of bounds to get inside the volcano, and then a cool thing here called a superfly jump. This superfly power-up lets you fly, obviously, and if you do, you like angle Spyro upwards and do the double jump input, so jump then, or flap your wings, I guess, and then charge. You just go way up high with the supercharge, or with the superfly, and you can completely bypass the normal height cap that would be there and get up to the top of the volcano in one jump.
Yeah. Something interestingly, in Spyro 3, they fixed double jump, obviously, where it was something that was found pretty much immediately. But there was... you can still do superfly jumps in Spyro 3. They're just not quite as effective as they are in Spyro 2 because of the double jump mechanics.
Yeah, there's a few little physics quirks like that were caused by patching out the double jump. So this is the last gem requirement, 400 to get in here. This is the only level that is like locked that we've never been able to skip into. The previous one that he paid for, Zephyr, there is a skip. It's not worth doing in real runs.
Done it RTA,
not
right?
Yeah, you can do it, like people have done it with save states, but it's very, very like not viable. But this one, there's just no known way to skip into it all.
Yeah, it's one of the few things where the entire building surrounding this level is just entirely locked off. The reason why that is the case is because the second homeworld has an area up on the roof of the main castle, and because of how high that area is, you can reach basically anywhere. And so Insomniac were very, very thorough with making pretty much everything in this homeworld solid. And so it's why actually the skip into the second boss was something that was not found for quite a long time. and is what made the what is now any percent actually possible.
Yeah. So this is an escort mission. You just leading Shorty, the hippo, through this place. He's the only thing that can break those doors. Even when you get the like permanent fireball power up, they still don't break these doors. So you have to just follow him through. There is a different Autumn Plains route that does Zephyr, the one of the other levels last, and you can use the gems from this level to help pay for Zephyr. But yeah, unfortunately in this route, we don't really get any use for the gems here. And that was the 14th talisman, so I guess that's the end, right?
That's the end.
Nah, but don't press the timer. We still have to actually beat the game.
I was this close to being like,
Yeah.
Didn't seem like a good idea.
Well done. You'll have to jump down the hole.
Alright, so this is the most RNG heavy part of the run, I would say.
Yeah.
Pretty much across the board as far as categories go. Gulp has a few different phases. The first three are essentially introducing us to the different weapon drops that we can get for this fight. So the first phase is going to be barrels, second phase is going to be bombs, and third phase is going to be rockets. All things going well, we won't actually see the bomb phase, but these are some pretty average drops.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, okay, cool. Just don't hit one barrel with the other one. Yeah, nice. So this is the goal, is to get double hits. Once you hit him, he jumps up and destroys all the weapons that are on the field. But if you can hit him with two things in quick succession like that, you can get two in one phase.
Get a second rocket.
Yeah, whether you can get doubles really just depends on... Oh, that was
annoying.
Yeah, he blew up the egg. Whether you can get a double depends on a combination of what drops, where they drop, and how good you are. Like, it's a case of, like, there is a lot of luck, but you can mitigate it with skill. So the better you get at the fight, the better your fights will be on average, but it is still just kind of RNG hell.
So now we're moving into the second phase of the fight. In this one, we're going to get 3 random eggs with random... 3 eggs with random weapons in them. We're going to be trying to get double hits on pretty much everything.
That's a pretty good spawn, because rocket barrel is one of the easiest doubles to get. So.
And on green sparks, which is a mistake, because now chickens can also be dropped from the eggs. Hopefully I can just get one quickly and get the health and then continue on.
Yeah, like double rockets and rocket barrel are like the easiest. Double barrels is alright if they're close to each other. And then bombs you don't want to see, because you can't get the second hit of a double with a bomb. So like, if you can set up to get the first one with a bomb, it's alright, and you also can't hit him with a bomb if you have a rocket in your mouth, so they're just kind of awkward to use. And sometimes they drop the eggs on Gulp, and that's unfortunate. That was like set up really nicely, and then Gulp ran over the rocket.
If that hadn't been a bomb that dropped there, I would have been able to get the second hit and finish the fight, but essentially because I took a risk and flamed the bomb before I knew what weapon was going to drop, I ended up... a little bit of a messy fight, but we're through it.
Yeah. So the rest of the run at this point is basically just it's a skip gauntlet essentially. So we only need to get into the final boss and kill him at this point. We don't need to go into any of the other levels. They don't have talismans. But we are not quite prepared to fight the final boss yet. If we go in now, we have to do it the normal way, which is even more of an RNG hell than Gulp. Like, it would be horrible. So instead, we're going to make use of a little power-up that is put in the game by skipping into the kind of post-game area that you're supposed to unlock after beating the final boss. So you saw that big portal in the courtyard there. That's to Dragon Shores. But it's not active yet. The loading zone is not there. But when portals are not active in this game, they just store the loading zone directly underneath the portal. And so if you can get out of bounds, you just fly through the hidden loading zone. It's invisible, but it's enormous, so it's pretty easy to hit. And you can just skip into Dragon Shores. And now once we're in Dragon Shores, we can't go through the door yet because we don't have enough stuff. And so you can do a jump here. This is pretty tricky. This is similar to the one of the climb skip jumps, but probably worse. But yeah, you can kind of flop over this wall.
As you'll see, stretching my neck up and jumping out of my seat
was
definitely
wondering.
makes this jump easier.
It's the Mario Kart, like steering with your body.
I don't know why, I just cannot stop myself from doing it.
This is one of those things that you rust on very quickly as well. I don't know how much, it's just something that you can get walled on.
Yeah, you specifically need to get a walking double jump here. Essentially, if you can carry some momentum into your double jump, you get a little bit more height and distance. As Dax mentioned earlier, though, with double jumps, you can't be holding any direction, otherwise Spyro will just charge straight down. So I'm using a visual cue here. There's a little triangle that you can see sort of meets the wall there. That's essentially where I'm trying to jump from.
Yeah, you want to jump from kind of the highest point on the ground. Some of these are very close.
Yeah.
But okay.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go. Well done. And then you've got to be very careful here not to try and swim in this water, because if he does, the game will actually crash. So got to just jump through safely and then double jump, get through underneath this power-up. The hitbox for the power-up extends really far underneath. And that is the permanent Super Flame power-up. We generally just call it Fireball. You're supposed to unlock that when you get 100%. Like, that's a post-game secret unlockable that you can carry into another file as like a New Game Plus thing. But if you do that stuff, you can just unlock it. And if parsoFlames, yeah, he has Fireball. And this will be very, very useful for beating Ripto. But now he needs to get into Ripto. Hasn't got 40 orbs, so can't do it the normal way. Nice. Very good.
Yeah, so that's a thing called swim in air. Basically, the way that water works in this game, and bodies of water specifically, is that water is just a plane. And so the way that they developed it was that if you go through that plane, you're essentially trapped in a enclosed space. But in a lot of cases, the plane actually extends out of bounds. And so if you're out of bounds and swim through it, you're not stuck within the confines that they expect you to be. And you can essentially just swim wherever you want to.
Yeah, and now having the Fireball power-up just makes this bot a joke. The first two phases, you just mow him down. Normally, Hunter drops these orbs that give you power-ups, and they do like no damage and last barely any time. So very, very slow, but this just... Like, that entire detour for going out of bounds, going to Dragon Shores, getting the power-up, takes a long time, but it's worth it for this fight. It speeds up the fight so much. Time will be coming up very soon once the health bar gets to 0. This phase is just done as normal. You normally have Fireball here, but just optimize it as best you can. See if we can catch him here. No, not quite. Almost.
And time.
Well done.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, double jumps were what gave me the most trouble, I think.
I mean, if you're going to get stuck on anything, like Dragon Shores out of bounds, what are you going to get stuck on?
So yeah, that was Spyro 2. Thank you all for donating. Thank you for Green Spyro. Clearly the right choice. Yeah, and thank you for everyone for coming in, you know, everyone that's here live, everyone that's watching on the stream, you know, raising money for a great cause. And everyone have a wonderful rest of your packs.